I think the big takeaways we're seeing right now in terms of where we are in the recovery is that we're finally starting to diversify after 2 to 3 years of essentially a very siloed recovery that affected energy and technology markets. Now we're seeing a lot of markets contribute to the pace of the recovery. So secondary, tertiary markets, CBDs, parts of the suburbs, we're starting to see the momentum. We're seeing a bottom of the market, so landlords are feeling increased confidence, pushing up rate a little bit, decreasing the concessions they give to tenants, and so we're seeing kind of an overall viability of the recovery that we really haven't seen in the past. I think what you will see over the next 5 to 7 years is millennials will replace the baby boomer generation as the stewards of the office market. And that has a huge impact on kind of where millennials go, where they want to be, how they want to work, and it's making some parts of the market challenged. So when you kind of look at the urban migration over the past 2 to 3 years, what's driving it? Millennials. When you look at a sense of place and kind of real estate being a sense of place, you think of how we shop, think of how we live, think of how we vacation. People go to places. In the office market, they never really migrated to places across the board. And I think we do that increasingly over the next 5, 7, 10 years, and it makes buildings without a sense of place, without amenities, without transit, without a story, probably a bit more challenge than they've experienced over the past 20 years. Private sector of the US economy is probably the darling of the global recovery right now. We have corporations with record amounts of cash on hand, with corporate profits that continue to eclipse themselves one quarter after another, and we're finally starting to see the generation of that into investment in their businesses, which we hadn't seen for 24 months. On the opposite side of that, being from Washington, we have a toxic environment in kind of Congress. And where we should be having public-private partnerships, think of energy, think of technology, you think of energy in kind of the pipeline, you think of technology, you think of immigration, think of regulatory environment, you think of Wall Street. Those types of things aren't happening. And while we're optimistic about the private sector recovery, what we really need to be kind of full throttle is a public-private partnership. And I can't see that happening near term, but we're optimistic of it midterm.